Greetings. Welcome to Kathachitram. This Kathachitram is derived from the Balakanda of Maharshi Valmiki's Srimad Ramayana and the novel Mahabrahmana by Sri Devudu Narasimha Shastri. Accompanied by Sri Rama and Lakshmana, sage Vishwamitra arrived at Mithila to King Janaka's court. Sage Shatananda, the family priest of Janaka, called Rama up to him and said, "O Rama, words fail me to thank you for relieving my mother Ahalya from her curse. Let me tell you, the sage who has brought you here to Mithila is no ordinary man. I am certain that he would have narrated many tales of wisdom on the way here, but he is humble enough to not tell his own story to you. So let me tell you his glorious story." And thus Shatananda commenced narrating the inspiring story of Maharshi Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra, previously known as Vishwaratha, was the son of Gayathi Raja. Since he hails from the clan of Kushika, he was commonly called Kaushika. Once, on an expedition around the kingdom with his troops, he arrived at Maharshi Vasishta's ashrama. Upon arriving, he paid his respects to the great sage, and Vasishta welcomed him with the utmost regard. He lovingly served everyone fruits, milk, water, and honey. After experiencing the saint's hospitality at the ashrama, Kaushika sought the sage for his blessings to take his leave. However, the Maharshi urged the king to stay for a while and partake of a meal. "Oh sage, mine is a large force. I do not want to exert this enormous burden upon the ashrama. You have already done a lot for me and my men. I am immensely grateful for it," Kaushika said, politely refusing the offer. The sage replied, "Oh, no, not at all, my dear Kaushika. Please do not think so. By the grace of Kamadhenu, it is not at all an issue to feed and entertain yourself and your vast retinue. Please stay. It will not be long." So saying, the sage courteously convinced the king to remain there for a while longer and lunch with him. Kaushika agreed and stayed back. In a short while, they were served a grand and scrumptious feast. Kaushika was stunned. It was one of the best meals he had ever had the fortune to eat. "Oh sage, I am astounded," Kaushika exclaimed. "Truly, it boggles me how you arranged for such a vast spread in such a short time. Certainly we have stayed by your urging, but I am profusely glad I did so. Each item was divine. Many varieties of rice, the gravies, the curries, the perfectly seasoned sweet dishes. Extraordinary. But, oh Maharshi, how did you make all this happen? Do tell me, for I am curious." Vasishta, seated on a higher platform, replied calmly, "O Kaushika, I am glad you have enjoyed yourself. Frankly speaking, I have no part to play in this. None at all. All this was accomplished by the divine cow Nandini, daughter of Surabhi of the heavens." Kaushika was immensely surprised. "Come again? All this was done by a cow?" "Yes, Kaushika. Why ever are you surprised? The Devas sent Nandini to ensure the fulfillment of all the daily proceedings of this ashrama. With her grace, how hard do you think it was to simply serve a luncheon to you and your army?" The rishi smiled with mild amusement. Kaushika respectfully asked, "Oh Maharshi, I must ask a favor of you. Please bless me with this divine Nandini. With her in the kingdom, my subjects will never face a shortage of anything. She will be of great help to many people in the country. Please do not be worried about the ashrama's welfare. In place of Nandini, I shall have 1,000 milking cows with their horns bedecked with golden filigree sent to your ashrama. Please grant me this divine cow." But Vasishta kindly refused. "O king, although your intention of protecting your subjects is honorable, it is not dharma for you to plead thus. It is you who is supposed to protect the kingdom and safeguard your citizens. That is your responsibility. Therefore, you most definitely should not be here asking me for Nandini." Kaushika, no less stubborn. "Maharshi, as the ashrama lies in the premises of my kingdom, it is my right on all your property, isn't it? So you must give me the cow," he demanded. "Yes, Kaushika, I agree that this ashrama is part of your kingdom. But What's rightfully earned by us is ours, isn't it? As long as we pay the taxes to you on time, you have no authority on our belongings, the rishi calmly replied. Kaushika continued to insist. Maharshi, I disagree with this. You have to give me the cow right away. I am ready to give you innumerable cows, horses, elephants, and gold. Just tell me what the ashrama needs. O king, suppose I give you Kamadhenu on your request. It will make the officers and your descendants idle. That will bring disgrace to my ashrama. When the ruler himself is uninterested in the matters of the state, why would others be enthusiastic about their work? The entire executive system will collapse. Kaushika, let me tell you one more thing. We seek Nandini only for the requirements of the sacrificial fire and Naivedyam. We work hard to earn and eat our food and fulfill our requirements by ourselves here. Hence, neither is it proper for you to ask the cow, nor is it fair for me to give her to you, Vasishta said firmly. Kaushika resolutely said, O sage, you are a Brahmana. You obtained her through your prayers and knowledge. I am a Kshatriya. I shall procure her through my powers. Maharshi merely smiled. Try then, he said, his eyes twinkling. Kaushika ever so stubbornly offered his salutations to the rishi and took leave of him. Kaushika, who had never been denied anything in his life, could not digest the fact that Vasishtha refused to give him the cow. His ego was hurt. He fiercely thought to himself, I, who defeated the gods themselves, was refused a cow by a sage? He turned to his soldiers and commanded, Go forth immediately! Abduct Nandini and take her to the palace. The soldiers barged into the cowshed, tied several ropes around Nandini, and attempted to forcefully pull her away. Nandini, who was usually gentle and kind, was infuriated by this mistreatment of hers. She shot an indignant glance at Vasishta and then violently shook her mottled body with an angry huff. Lo and behold, hordes of warriors armed with frightening implements charged forth from her body. They fell upon Kaushika's army and decimated it. Kaushika too failed to match their fury. Soon enough, he was no match for her prowess himself. He was beyond amazed at the power of this Nandini. Tired, wounded, and outraged, he thought to himself thus, What an insult to my name! I cannot even obtain a mere cow. I am humiliated. This is disgraceful to my name as a king. Shameful. Shameful. Thus humiliated, the angry Kaushika decided that his ordinary weapons would not do enough for him in this quest for Nandini. He needed divine weapons and powers, he decided. He would sit in meditation and appease Rudra for as long as it took. Nandini would have to be his, and he'd do anything for it. Resolutely, the king left behind the kingdom, all his riches and luxuries, and made his way to the Himalayas to appease Rudra. Years rolled on, but Kaushika would not give in to any discomfort. He sat, eyes closed, as still as a rock, and in due course, his persistence was rewarded. Rudra, flaming red and carrying fearsome weapons, appeared in front of him, as did Agni, Varuna, Indra, and the others. They blessed Kaushika with the choicest of special weapons and powers. Now, feeling much more confident, Kaushika made his way to Vasishtha's ashrama yet again. He laid siege to it from all sides and was perfectly confident that he would obtain Nandini and humble the sage. But, alas! If defeat at the hands of a mere cow was not insulting enough, this time the Maharshi's Brahmadanda, a simple staff, destroyed all of Kaushika's weapons. He was flabbergasted. More than insulted now, Kaushika was seething with anger and rage. Extreme emotion surging through him, he finally decided that his physical strength and prowess, kshaatra, was no way comparable to Vasishta's superior spiritual strength, braahma. Fie on my mere physical strength, he thought. Of what use is all this physical power? It is certain, only when kshaatra rests upon the foundation of Brahma is kshaatra any use at all. I must achieve spiritual wisdom. Rather, then obtaining a host of divine weapons. It is evident to me now that Vasishta's power derives from his being a Brahmarshi. Ah, yes, I too must strive to become a Brahmarshi. He firmly resolved to become a Brahmarshi, just like Vasishta had. Determination mounted in him. He left his kingdom behind, free of the rage that has once filled him, and he went off into the forest to perform tapas and attain spiritual prowess.
kshaatram balam brahma balat kaniyah parayanam natma vimochanaartham matveti raja कुशिकान्ववायो धिकृत्य तत्याज मुदा स्वराज्यम्
After several winters and severe penances, the king Kaushika became the Maharshi Vishwamitra. Shatananda turned to Rama with a smile and continued, "Now, O Rama, your ancestor of the Ikshvaku line, King Trishanku, had begun to have an unusual desire. He wanted to go to the heavens with his mortal frame still intact. He approached Vasishta, the Kula Guru of your clan, and sought his help in this endeavor. The Brahmarshi did not approve of this strange obsession and told Trishanku that it was not possible. Upon his repeated nagging, Vasishta's patience snapped and he cursed the king. Mad with the idea of going to Svarga in his mortal body, Trishanku went to Vishwamitra and begged him to arrange for a special sacrifice and make his journey to heaven possible. Vishwamitra was intrigued. "Trishanku," he said, finding the query slightly funny, "you're a pious man and a righteous king. You have attained a good name on earth by the good deeds you have done. By your wealth of punya, you will certainly go to heaven after your death. What is this odd hurry to get there already?" Trishanku replied with a desperate tone, "Oh no, Maharshi, it is not about that at all. I want to experience and see the heavens with this very body. Please do not refuse. Please do not refuse." Vishwamitra was not one to reject a challenge. After all, the grit of the kshatriyas was inherent in him. Assuring the king of his travel to the heavens, he transfigured Trishanku into a divine frame and sat down for a yajna with his nephew, Jamadagni. Afraid of the terrible tempers of the duo, the other sages too silently sat down for the ceremony. Every time they shouted Swaha and offered the oblation, Trishanku rose closer and closer to the heavens. Ultimately, following the procedure of yajna, Indra should have appeared, accepted the oblation, and personally escorted Trishanku into the heavens. However, Indra would not come. The deities in heaven, exasperated with this hitherto unheard of experiment, called down to Vishwamitra, "Oh great sage! This is not allowed. Surely you of all people are well aware that these divine realms are open for everyone to enter. Either they should be called by the gods, or they attain heaven after their death. Furthermore, Trishanku is a cursed man. He was cursed by his guru. He has no place in heaven," they exclaimed and pushed Trishanku towards the earth. Trishanku began falling downwards quickly. Vishwamitra was enraged. Getting up from his seat, he thundered, "Trishanku! Stop! Stop right there!" Trishanku came to a halt in the middle of Svarga and the earth. Vishwamitra was seething with fury. "Indra, you arrogant one! Do you think you alone are Indra?" he shouted. "Do you think yours alone is heaven? Behold, now my might. I shall make an entirely new heaven and install Trishanku as the Indra in this heaven." Everyone around was aghast. They prayed, pleaded, consoled, and cajoled with him not to do so. Despite that, Vishwamitra did exactly as he had thundered. The world shook. Dumbfounded by the sage's determination, the rishis and the devas pleaded with him to stop this act, which was against the universal order. Finally, Vishwamitra relented. In this endeavor, however, he lost the creative power that he had achieved as a result of his penances. Undeterred, Vishwamitra sat down and began his tapas all over again. This time, Brahma appeared before him and crowned him with the name Rajarishi. Just like before, another situation came about in which Vishwamitra spent all of his earned prowess, that of Shunashepa. Having protected the child, the sage sat down once again for his penances. This would go on for many years to come. Vishwamitra never refused any seeker, even if it meant draining his powers to fulfill their prayers. He, however, was troubled by the fact that he had not attained the Brahmarshi title yet. He had the grit to achieve that. Another penance, more severe than the previous, Menaka came. Her arrival brought in early spring, and the fragrance of the blooming flowers enveloped Vishwamitra. He came out of his penance and spent years with Menaka. Yet he had the gumption in him to achieve the name Brahmarshi, even after his daughter with Menaka, Shakuntala, was born. At last, sage Vasishtha too gave in to Vishwamitra's penance and rewarded him with the title Brahmarshi. Shatananda continued. Brahmarshi Vishwamitra gifted innumerable things to this world. He truly is the personification of atheism. After years of hard work and meditation, he envisioned the Gayathi Mantra. He had realized that knowledge is superior to physical strength. He desired that everyone should be able to realize the knowledge contained in the Vedas. His genius devised a mechanism to enable one and all to attain it. Do you not agree? Each experiences the presence of water, air, and fire inside their body. And it is common sense that the universe is also living on the same elements of air, water, and fire. He made a mantra to connect the two. When chanted continuously, the Gayathi Mantra helps one feel unified with the world. That is the secret of the Gayathi Mantra. It is because of his hard work, perseverance, and dedication that he is called the Brahmarshi. On that note, Sage Shatananda ended the story.
Uttharedatmanatmanam paurusheneti ghoshanam Uttharedatmanatmanam paurusheneti ghoshanam यस्य चारित्रमेवाभूद्विश्वामित्रसमानितः
We truly thank every one of you for patiently staying with us and listening to this inspiring and enchanting tale of Maharshi Vishwamitra. We sincerely thank Shatavadani Dr. R. Ganesh and Vidushish Sandhya Srinath for their advice and support towards this Kathachitram. The lyrics you heard were composed by Shatavadani Dr. R. Ganesh, especially for this story. Vidushish Samudyata Matturu sang them. Kumari Arushi Swami did the dance. Illustrations were done by Sumant Ganapati. He and his sister Aparna Ganapati did the background music score. The original story was written by Sri Prasanna Ganapati and translated to English by Kumari Samudyata K. Basvapatna and Aparna. I, Siri Tantri, did the narration. Shubham.